Over the last couple of days, I've seen a couple of posts. One of them is a crazy little cartoon character that is doing something, and the question is, his bandana at the top says, Sensei says. And I think it's important to differentiate when Sensei says and we follow blindly versus when we start to train creativity. The first and probably the most important thing is, I think if you're running a dojo, you're dealing with children, you at a certain point will only teach a limited amount of information. As they grow older and they're able to take on the responsibility of what you are teaching, you can escalate the degree of violence. Society doesn't like us dealing with violence in such a graphic way. Just think about the age restrictions on TV and on movies, and it's there for a reason. For that reason, we don't let our little ones watch the craziest things because it gives them nightmares, it scares them. And by and large, some of the content within karate should scare people. It should be very, very simple that is nasty, that is dangerous. In that respect, I like the analogy out of Spider-Man: with great knowledge comes great responsibility. And we try and encourage this within our own little dojo, and we try and teach that to everybody. As somebody who's trained as a teacher, I like steps. I like basics, keihan, fundamentals, and I like to build it up and to make it into something realistic later on. I think there is a time and a place to have this. So that's my 30 seconds, 1 minute's worth on some of the stuff I see online. My friends who are all doing applied functional karate and who deal with a lot of adults and that. I've got a friend who even teaches kids. Your dojo, your call, and how you package and put that information out there for the kids that they can deal with certain situations. That's up to you. I'm going to play with the kata Saifa. Saifa is intermediate kata in Goju Ryu, and it has a concept of breaking and whipping type techniques, and the breaking is sometimes considered breaking free, but there's also a lot of grabbing and seizing within the kata to keep it realistic. Okay, so I'm looking at the first kind of movements. There are 3 sets of these movements, and the idea that I'm looking at is that in our very classical training, somebody would be grabbing onto a hand, you'd be stepping up, you'd be pulling to create leverage. As you come up, you'd be ripping your hand free. There would be a secondary attack coming, you would block that attack, and you would hit the person in the face with an hurricane or a back knuckle strike. So that's pretty cool, and it works pretty nicely, and as you do it, the kata looks exactly the same as the most fundamental or basic level bunkai that you do in a test or in a grading. I would like to work on some other ideas that if I'm standing and somebody's trying to grab onto my hand, if I pull my hand away and I counter grab, then slide up and then use an elbow. So if I change the angle slightly, somebody is attempting to grab my hand, they're probably going to grab to hit with the other hand. I want to change the side that I'm on. I want to move to the outside. I want to counter grab, shift in with the elbow, and pull with this hand, this way. So it's a very, very basic idea, very simple. It's a short snippet of what the kata does. Okay, I'm going to ask my wife to put down our son. If you see him running through, please bear with us. If you have a little bit of screaming, it's just him trying to be demanding. It is early morning for him. Alright, so, okay, so, that's my wife is grabbing onto my hand, I'm counter grabbing, and I'm striking. I'm using my stance, my knee, to attack her knee. Alright, this creates a position that is very uncomfortable for her and lends itself to a counter or a path of attack that will allow you to go somewhere of your choice. So I'm using the kata for a starting point and then taking a tangent. And this is a little bit different. So 1, 2, 3, 4, becoming 1, counter grab, pull this hand away, counter grab, elbow. If I wish to do hurricane, no problem, but I'm also utilizing my stance. I'm working extensively on moving to the outside. Today, I'm trying to move to the outside. I won't do it all the time, but last week, I was predominantly on the inside. This week, I'm moving to the outside. I'm trying to minimize the chance that I'm going to get hit. Alright, next part of the kata, block, block, knee kick, looking to the side, kicking, and then repeating to the other side. First application I got told for looking sideways is that maybe you're confronted with 2 people, you're looking at one person and kicking the other. Alright? And this is something that we've seen for years and years and years in Goju circles. The common question is, why do we look to the side? Alright? I have a different idea. The idea is the reason I'm looking to the side is probably because I've changed my angle. So the idea of this blocking hand not being backward and down, but rather being along, and this hand coming up, because my opponent is over here. So I might be the incorrect side according to the kata, but I've got the idea that I am sideways. Okay? And if I was to go on the inside, same thing. And the focus in this case is that this hand is not blocking, this hand is grabbing in between the legs and striking up to the groin. So if my opponent is taking a kick, I'm moving, I'm deflecting the kick, and I'm possibly grabbing onto it. I'm stepping up, and in between the legs, I'm striking, palm strike up into the groin. Right, hopefully I can get my wife to come and demonstrate, and we can go from there. Alright? So, my wife is going to kick with her left leg. Left leg, I'm going to block, and I'm going to strike up into the groin. As the block comes in, I'm catching, and I'm striking up into the groin. The next step is that this hand is grabbing on. The next step is that I'm blocking with 2 hands, and that one hand is actually defending against the hand. So if my wife kicks and I block, this hand is trapping, and then I'm kicking up into the groin. Alright, there you have a special bunkai built with child in hand. Okay, so block, covering, and then a rising kick up into the groin. So that covers 1, 2, 3 of the kata. After the next part, back punch, strike. Okay, I want to work on the ideas very simply that if I'm in a fighting position, my hands are up, maybe I'm entangling my hands, kicking, pulling back. The idea of this kick is possibly to attack the support leg or the front leg of my opponent. So we entangle hands, something's happening, somehow grabbing, carrying off their attacks, kicking and maybe changing the kick to push the leg backward and then to pull the person in. When they come in, their head is coming towards you. Probably fine. I'm South African, so the person is probably going to want to try and tackle you. We have a strong rugby culture. They're coming down. So the idea, as I drop into a longer stance, is the idea of sprawling that you would see in grappling, is that you want to sprawl and push the person down. That means their head's here, and we can finish them. If I want to add a little bit of extra integrity to my sprawl, obviously I'm going to use something that's similar to Shikudach. So pull, smash. So hands are up, we're entangled hands, I'm kicking, I'm pulling in, person is probably moving down to attack, 1. If I look at the next move, my hand goes here, and I turn around. This hand going here takes me back to something that I learned from Chin as a young boy, attacking, turning the head. Last week we said if we pulled the hair, the body would follow. So if I turn the person here, I'm going to be able to change their direction. We're going to go onto the ground and we can carry on fighting from there. So let's see if I can get my son away from my wife for a few seconds and we can try and show you. Alright, Hunter. Give mommy and daddy 2 seconds. So, we're fighting position. I'm using my hands, tapping the neck, pulling, striking, grabbing on, and my opponent on the ground, and we can carry on fighting. Okay, so hands up, grabbing, kicking that leg, pulling back. You notice that her head came forward. From there, it was easy to strike. Change the grip to the turn. All right, next application. 1, 2, 3. Some schools open hand, then close. Some schools close hand, close hand. Some schools open, close. Some schools open, closed. I'm not particularly caught up in which one is more right. Do what your sensei says, but rather have an open idea for application. I don't like the idea that this double punch, wherever you see it, is always a double punch. So my liking is the idea of blocking and breaking free, blocking maybe a second attack, grabbing on, and single hand punch. And generally, my choice of target is to throw it. And this is where we start getting to the point where we're talking about the grim realities, harsh realities of hitting somebody in such a way that it is dangerous. So hitting into the throat, grabbing the hair, very old school, from the time of the boxers with the fancy hair, pulling down and then striking on the ground. So the attack is coming from behind, and if they grab onto the shoulder, I turn the opposite shoulder towards that side. Let me see if I can grab my wife to do a bunkai again with a partner. It's a very difficult class this morning. We've got a very, very busy 2-year-old. Okay, so my wife is grabbing on with one hand onto the shoulder. I'm going to block, and she's probably going to take another swing. Grab and strike for the throat. Then going to move in, grab the hair, and pull down. We're going to take down this hand, striking this idea, again, different variation to bring it down onto the ground. Okay? Next movement in the kata. 1, 2, 3. Alright? So the first one is quite low. It starts from a low position. And then the second one starts from this position here. They're not the same. They start at different places. They're for different types of attacks. So we tend to err on the side of the first one being a low punch or kick, coming around, hitting, grabbing the hair, and punching. The second one, somebody is punching, blocking with the elbow, and hitting, grabbing on, and countering. And then attached to it is the next move, the reverse punch. So the idea I would work on, kick, move to the outside, block, hit, aim for the nose. It doesn't make sense to hit somebody on the top of the head directly down. You have to be massively powerful, and I don't think that the average human being will get there. Higohana Sensei is a very powerful man. Yes, he might be able to get it right. But honestly, me, average person, I would hit for the bridge of the nose. Try and break the nose, affect the person, tears, blood, etc. Hand to grab the hair. No hair, grab behind the neck, pull, and punch. This hand then can then move in, and we can get to the really nasty bit. So let me grab my wife again. There, my wife is going to kick with her right leg this time. I'm going to block, hit, grab, punch, move through. This hand moves to the back, and I'm going to break the neck. Okay? So this is where we move away from child-centered karate, and we adjust and we adapt. And this is more that graphic content that I said somewhere along the line we have to make a call. Alright, that takes us literally to the last movement of the kata. This movement here. Okay, again, I'm working on the idea, totally different from regular application that I would expect my children to do. The idea of entangled hands, blocking, hitting, etc. So, entangled hands, hands are up, we're in a fight. I'm going to push down with this front hand. I'm going to attack their front hand. I'm going to change angle of attack slightly by swiveling. I'm going to hit high toe and attack the neck down. So that's part one. Part two would be from there to grab behind that head again. Grab that neck, grab the eyes, pull the head back, and high toe into the throat. So we're in a fighting position. I'm pulling that hand down, attacking the neck. One, pull, and then high toe. If we change sides, you get the idea. So we're in fighting position. 1, 2, 3. The idea is again to attack this and to end the person. In ending the person, I end the fight. This is that harsh, graphic reality of a different kind of mentality in karate. 1, 2, 3. Fighting position. 1, 2, 3. Attack. Finish. I hope you've enjoyed this snippet. We've run a little bit over. Thank you very much. I hope my son wasn't too much of an interference. Arigato gozaimasu. Thank you.